of State Mike Pompeo is with us here on the show. Mr. Secretary, good morning.
Rob, good to be with you this morning.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Newsmax magazine had you on its cover saying that you were President Trump's sheriff by implementing his American First policies. If you had to say that you are most proud of one thing that you've achieved as Secretary of State, what would that be?
Goodness, Rob, it's hard to nail down to a single thing. President Trump came into office with a fundamentally different view from what Washington had done for a long time on foreign policy. We broke a lot of glass, and we've had an enormous amount of success and made the American people safer as a direct result of that. The America First doesn't mean America alone. It just means that we think about the American people and their security as our first priority. So whether it's the work we've done to reorient the world to understand the threat from the Chinese Communist Party, or the fact that we've now created enormous amounts of peace and stability throughout the Middle East and put Iran on its back foot. The list of successes in the international space is very long under this administration's first 4 years.
Secretary Pompeo, we haven't seen America First at this level really since the Reagan administration. Regarding China, you and President Trump really hit the reset button there. How serious a threat do you think China remains right now?
Unfortunately, it's a tremendous threat. Indeed, I would evaluate the Chinese Communist Party as the greatest threat to security of the American people, and indeed the free world of any of them that are out there. There's a leader, General Secretary Xi Jinping, who is intent upon using the power of state-owned enterprises, their military services, all together in this thing they call civil-military fusion,
right,
to create a hegemon, to expand its reach, to expand its power. It does through using commercial activity, including the theft of millions of American jobs. These are the kind of things that pose real risk to the American people. And Donald Trump's the first president who, this is not political, both political parties looked away and bent a knee to the Chinese Communist Party. President Trump said enough, and we've begun to turn the corner and build out a coalition all around the world of democracies and free market economies to push back against this threat.
When you were speaking to Georgia Tech just recently, you called Xi Jinping's intentions nothing short of sinister. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, when I was at Georgia Tech, I was talking about a particular area. That's the America's education institutions, where they have infiltrated, sent spies. You've seen what the FBI has done recently. They have now 360,000 Chinese students studying here in America. Some of them are here just to study, but many of them return home. We care deeply about the Chinese people. We want them to be successful, but we can't allow them to come steal secrets from our leading research institutions, places like Georgia Tech. We can't allow the Confucius Institutes to act in ways that work against the American people. Those are the kind of things that President Trump has taken on. We're beginning to have success. There's an awful lot more work left to be done.
Yeah, of course. And when we see that they're interning with members of Congress and mayors as well. Mr. Secretary, you recently tweeted support for Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai, who was arrested by the Chinese. What's his status right now? And do you see China giving Hong Kong freedom again?
So Jimmy Lai is a true patriot. He cares deeply about the people of Hong Kong, as it is our administration. This is another example where General Secretary Xi Jinping broke a promise. He made a 50-year commitment for freedom for the people of Hong Kong, and he's now bashed it. He's now taken it away with this national security law that caused the imprisonment of Jimmy Lai, who was simply trying to speak about the basic rights for the people of Hong Kong. We've challenged this. We've pushed back against this. We welcome the United Kingdom and other countries that have joined us in this. I fear that Hong Kong is becoming just another Chinese-run communist city, and that's too bad. It's inconsistent with what Xi Jinping had promised, and it's another example of the fact that you simply can't trust what the Chinese Communist Party says. You have to verify every single thing that they assert.
Many on the left are saying that it was our own domestic media that helped to sabotage the 2020 election. But of course, China and Russia remain concerns. Have you seen any direct evidence that China or maybe another foreign power interfered in the 2020 presidential election?
No, I haven't seen interference as a direct matter, but make no mistake about it. The Chinese Communist Party's influence operations, you mentioned mayors and governors. I would add city council members. We've seen what they've done with respect to putting MSS officers up close to members of Congress. Make no mistake about it. They're trying to influence the way our elected officials and our candidates think about China, and that's likely to continue until administrations like ours work hard, push back. We closed the consulate in Houston just aimed directly at this, right? They were running a spy operation out of what was supposed to be a diplomatic facility. If America gets this right, I am very confident, just like the challenges that came before it, America will meet the challenge from the Chinese Communist Party as well.
You know, Mr. Secretary, there's this narrative out there that the president has completely botched the handling of the coronavirus pandemic. This, as you and I are speaking, a vaccine is rolling out here domestically in the U.S. that took less than 9 months to develop, the fastest by far in history. And there's this narrative that somehow China is not responsible for this pandemic. How do we hold China accountable for everything that's happening right now?
Rob, we've begun to do that already. And you can, in fact, see the world beginning to build up its efforts to push back and hold accountable China as well. If you watch what Australia is doing and other countries, you see what India is doing. The world understands the simple fact that this virus, this Wuhan virus, came from China, and that the Chinese Communist Party covered up what they knew about the risk associated with this virus. They allowed people to travel internationally when they should not have. They should have alerted the world to this, and as a result, we've now had 1 million plus people killed around the world, enormous economic devastation. The Chinese Communist Party bears a direct responsibility for this, and the world needs a collective response to it. I was thrilled to see this morning when I woke up, trucks rolling, vaccines rolling all across America. I'm very confident that this administration to build out this vaccine in historically fast time will continue to distribute, continue to deliver, and that will right the ship and get the vaccine out to every single person who wants it before too terribly long.
Yeah, and I think, sir, that history will judge it that way as a remarkable success, especially with regard to this vaccine. Mr. Secretary, we know that you care deeply about